There is something you need to understand about this very moment, about the fact that you are here, reading these words, hearing this voice. This is not random. This is not a coincidence of algorithms or a suggestion that just happened to cross your path while you scrolled. No. Something stopped you. Something held your attention for just long enough to bring you here, to this exact point in time. And that something was not an accident. It was a hand reaching through the noise of your life to touch the part of you that has been waiting for someone to finally tell you the truth. You have been feeling it, haven't you? That quiet ache beneath the surface, that sense that things are not lining up the way they should. You have made plans, and those plans have crumbled. You have tried to move forward, but the doors wouldn't open. You have screamed into the silence, asking why everything feels so heavy, so blocked, so impossible to navigate. And the silence that answered you, it felt like abandonment. It felt like being forgotten. But I need you to hear this right now in a way you have never heard it before. I never left. I never forgot. I have been standing in the shadows of your path, watching, waiting for this exact moment to speak. You want to know why now. You want to know why I waited until you were tired, until you were bruised from running into walls you couldn't see, until your patience had worn thin and your faith had worn out. You want to know why I let you feel lost when I knew exactly where you were. And the answer is coming. But first, you must understand something about the way I work. I do not shout over the noise of your life. I do not compete with the distractions you fill your days with. I wait. I wait for the moment when the noise quiets, when your striving exhausts itself, when you finally stop running long enough to realize you are lost. That is where you are right now. That is why this message has found you. You are quiet enough, finally, to hear. There is a reason you have been stopped. Not delayed, stopped. There is a reason why the promotion didn't come through, why the relationship didn't work, why the door slammed shut just as you reached for them. You have been interpreting these things as failure, as rejection, as proof that life is against you. But what if I told you that every single closed door was a wall I built? What if I told you that every detour, every dead end, every moment of confusion was not an accident, but a construction? I have been building a barrier around your path, not to trap you, but to protect you, to redirect you, to keep you from walking into a destruction you cannot yet see. You are standing at the edge of something, and you do not even know it. The path ahead of you, the one you have been fighting to walk down, leads to a cliff. And you have been so focused on the path, so desperate to move forward, that you have not seen the drop waiting just beyond your vision. But I see it. I see every step you cannot see. And I love you too much to let you walk off the edge while praising me for the strength to keep going. So I stopped you. I blocked you. I made the path ahead look impossible, because the path ahead would have destroyed you. This is the hard truth you have been avoiding. Not every closed door is an enemy. Not every silence is rejection. Sometimes the most merciful thing I can do is refuse to answer your prayer for more of what you think you want. You have been asking me to bless your plans. You have been asking me to open doors. You have been asking me to make your way smooth and straight. And I have been answering you with walls, because your plans, if I had blessed them, would have buried you. The doors you wanted open lead to rooms you were never meant to enter. And the smooth, straight road you begged for, it ends in ruin. But you couldn't see that. You still can't see it fully. And that is the weight you have been carrying. The weight of trusting a path you could not see, while believing I was the one who abandoned you on it. You have felt the silence like a punishment. You have interpreted my stillness as neglect. And all the while, I have been standing in front of you, arms outstretched, blocking your way, screaming silently into the space between us. Stop. Turn around. This is not your road. I know you are tired. I know you are confused. I know there is a part of you that wants to fight against this message, because it is easier to believe that life is random and cruel than to believe that there is a purpose in the pain. But you are not here by accident. You are here because the noise has finally faded enough for you to hear what I have been trying to tell you for months, for years, for a lifetime. You are here because you are ready to stop running. You are here because you are finally willing to listen. So listen now. Breathe. Let the weight of your striving fall away for just a moment. You do not need to fix anything tonight. You do not need to figure out the next step or solve the mystery of your life. You only need to sit in the truth that you have been seen, that your pain has not been wasted, that every closed door, every blocked path, every unanswered prayer has been a form of mercy you could not understand at the time. The walls were not cruelty, and there is more. There is so much more that needs to be said, because the stopping is only half the story. The walls are not the end. They are the beginning of something you could never have planned for yourself. But you are not ready for that part yet. You need to sit in this truth first. You need to let the walls around you feel real before I show you the door that has been hidden in them all along. So rest here for a moment. Let the silence settle. And when you are ready, we will go deeper. There is more you need to hear. There is more you need to understand. And I will not leave you standing at the wall without showing you why it was built. You have been standing at this wall for longer than you realize. Not just days or weeks, but perhaps years of your life have been spent pushing against something that would not move. And in that pushing, something happened to you. Something inside began to change, though you could not name it at the time. The constant pressure of unfulfilled desire, the repeated experience of doors closing just as you reach them, it wore grooves into your soul. It made you question everything you thought you knew about yourself, about life, about me. And here is the truth you have been afraid to face. That questioning was not your weakness. You have carried shame about your doubts. You have hidden your confusion behind brave faces and hollow prayers, pretending to trust when inside you were drowning in uncertainty. You thought faith meant never questioning the path. You thought trust meant never feeling lost. But I built you for more than that. I built you for a relationship, not a performance. And relationship requires honesty. It requires you to bring me your broken questions, your angry tears, your exhausted surrender. Not your polished piety, not your rehearsed prayers. So let me ask you something, and I need you to answer honestly, even if only in the silence of your own heart. When the walls went up, where did you go? When the path closed and the darkness settled, who did you become? Did you run further into your own striving, trying harder to break through on your own? Did you numb yourself with distractions, with busyness, with the shallow comfort of things that could never touch the depth of your need? Or did you finally, after all the fighting, collapse into the one place you had been avoiding, the place of not knowing? Because that place, the place of not knowing, that is holy ground. That is the altar where real transformation begins. You cannot receive what I am trying to give you while your hands are clenched around what you think you want. You cannot hear my voice while your own voice is shouting demands into the void. The wall was not just to stop you. The wall was to break you open, to empty your hands, to silence your demands, so that in the quiet you might finally hear something other than your own desperate planning. Think back. Think back to the moments before the walls appeared. You were moving fast. You were certain of your direction. You had mapped out the next 5 years, the next 10 years, the rest of your life. You had decided what happiness looked like, what success felt like, what love should be. And you were running toward that vision with everything in you. But your vision was small. Your vision was limited to what your eyes could see and your mind could imagine. Your vision did not include the things I can see waiting for you in the shadows. Your vision did not account for the people you would become, the wounds you would carry, the ways your own heart would betray you if you kept running that road. So I stopped you, not because I didn't trust you, but because I knew you. I knew what waited inside you that you had not yet faced. I knew the patterns you would repeat, the wounds you would reopen, the ways you would sabotage your own joy if I let you keep running on the fuel of your own blindness. The wall was not punishment. The wall was intervention. And the silence that followed, the deafening silence where you screamed and I seemed not to answer, that silence was not absence. That silence was surgery. While you waited, I was working. While you grew impatient, I was preparing. While you accused me of forgetting you, I was positioning people, circumstances, and yes, even your own failures to become the foundation of something you could not yet imagine. The waiting was never empty. The silence was never vacant. Every day you spent feeling stuck, I was moving in realms you cannot see. Every night you wept into your pillow, wondering if your life would ever make sense. I was weaving threads together that would one day form a tapestry you could finally understand. But you couldn't see it. And that is the part that still haunts you, isn't it? The not knowing. The feeling that you have been wandering in fog while everyone else seems to walk in sunlight. You have watched others move forward while you remain still. You have celebrated their breakthroughs while nursing your own confusion. And somewhere along the way, you began to believe that the stillness meant you were less loved, less chosen, less worthy of my attention. That lie has been the heaviest weight you have carried, and tonight I am here to shatter it completely. The stillness was not rejection. The stillness was intimacy. I pulled you aside because you were the one I needed to speak to. I closed the noisy roads because I wanted you alone. I silenced the crowd because your voice was the only one I wanted to hear. You have been interpreting your isolation as abandonment, but I have been using it to draw you closer than you have ever been. The very thing you have resented, the loneliness, the waiting, the unanswered questions, that has been the space where I could finally reach you without competition. Look back now. Look back at the person you were when the wall first appeared. Look at what you believed, how you reacted, what you thought you needed to be happy. Can you see it? Can you see how much has shifted beneath the surface? You are not the same. The waiting has changed you. The silence has deepened you. The walls have forced you to look inward, to ask questions you never would have asked if the path had remained smooth. And though you cannot yet see where this road is leading, something in you knows, something in you suspects that you are closer to truth than you have ever been. That instinct is not wishful thinking. That is me. That is my voice, finally breaking through the noise you created, finally reaching the part of you that has always known I was real. You have spent so long looking for me in the answers, but I have been hiding in the questions. You have been searching for me at the destination, but I have been walking with you in the detour. And now, something is shifting. Can you feel it? The air is changing. The weight is not lifting completely, but it is redistributing. You are beginning to suspect that the wall was not the enemy. You are beginning to wonder what might be on the other side of this waiting. Not the path you originally wanted, but something else. Something you could never have planned. That wondering is the first crack in the wall. That curiosity is the door beginning to open. But before you step through, before you even see what waits on the other side, there is something you must understand about what has been happening inside you. The waiting was not empty. The silence was not vacant. And the person you are becoming in this place of not knowing, that person is about to be meted. That person is about to be called forward into something that requires exactly what the waiting has produced in you. You are not finished yet. You are not lost. You are being repositioned. And when the time comes to move again, you will move differently. You will move lighter. You will move with eyes that have learned to see in the dark. But there is still more to understand. There are still layers of this waiting that need to be uncovered. And if you will stay here with me a little longer, I will show you what has really been happening while you thought nothing was happening at all. There is something you have not admitted to yourself yet. Something you have buried beneath the busyness of surviving, beneath the daily grind of getting through. It is the question that haunts you in the rare moments when the noise stops and you are left alone with your own thoughts. The question you are afraid to speak aloud, because speaking it might make it real. And if it is real, then you might have to face the possibility that you have been believing a lie. Here it is. Here is the question you have been running from. What if I am not coming back? What if the silence is permanent? What is the version of your life that made sense is gone forever? And this confusion, this waiting, this endless wandering is all that remains. You have carried that fear like a secret wound. You have hidden it from others, and you have tried to hide it from me. But I have felt it. I have felt every tremor of doubt that passed through your heart. I have heard every unspoken question that echoed in the chambers of your mind while you lay awake at night, staring at ceilings, wondering if anyone was listening. And I have not been offended by your doubt. I have not been angered by your fear. I have been waiting for you to bring it to me, so I could answer it with truth, instead of letting it answer itself with lies. So, hear me now. Hear me clearly, not with your ears, but with the part of you that still knows how to recognize my voice when it speaks. I have not left you. I have not abandoned you. The silence you have feared was never silence at all. It was a different kind of speaking. It was the language of preparation, and you could not understand it because you were still demanding the language of explanation. You wanted answers. I was giving you formation. You wanted directions. I was giving you depth. You wanted me to tell you where to go. I was too busy showing you who you are, and you missed it. You missed the entire process because you were so focused on the product. You were so desperate for the destination that you walked through the journey blind, resenting every step instead of learning from every stone. But that changes now. That changes tonight, because you are finally still enough, quiet enough, desperate enough to hear what I have been trying to tell you all along. You are not waiting for your life to begin. Your life has been happening. The waiting has been the life. The confusion has been the curriculum. And if you can open your eyes to see it, you will realize that everything you thought was a delay was actually a delivery. Everything you thought was a detour was actually the road. Look closer now. Look at what has been happening beneath the surface while you stared at the closed door. Look at the ways you have changed without even noticing. You are more patient now than you were when the waiting began. Not perfectly patient, no, but there is a stillness in you now that was not there before. You are more compassionate toward others who struggle because you have struggled. You are slower to judge because you have been judged by your own circumstances and found it lacking. You are less certain of your own plans, which has made you more open to receiving plans you did not make. These are not small things. These are not accidental byproducts of wasted time. These are transformations. These are the very changes I have been working in you while you thought I was doing nothing. The wall was not just blocking your path. The wall was becoming a mirror. And in that mirror, you have been forced to see yourself in ways you never would have seen if the road had stayed open and the lights had stayed bright. You thought you knew who you were. You had constructed an identity based on your achievements, your relationships, your plans, your reputation. You had built a version of yourself that looked strong, looked capable, looked like it had everything together. But that version was built on sand. It was constructed from things that could be taken away, and so I took them away. Not to destroy you, but to show you what remained when everything else was gone, and what remains when the plans fail, and the relationships shift, and the achievements fade, and the reputation cracks. What is left of you? This is the question the wall has been forcing you to answer. This is the question you have been avoiding because you were afraid of the answer. But tonight, in this space, with my voice speaking directly to the deepest part of you, I ask it again. What remains? Do not answer with your mind. Do not answer with the words you think you should say. Let your soul answer. Let the quietest, most honest part of you respond. What remains when everything else is stripped away? If you are honest, if you are truly honest, you will feel it. You will feel the presence of something that has always been there, but that you have ignored. You will sense the part of you that existed before any of your plans were made, before any of your achievements were earned, before any of your relationships began. That part of you, the one I knew before time began, that part is still here. That part has not been touched by the waiting. That part has not been diminished by the silence. That part has been growing stronger in the dark, like roots reaching deeper into soil no one sees. You are not who you thought you were. You are not the collection of your successes and failures. You are not the sum of your plans and disappointments. You are something deeper, something older, something more enduring than any circumstance that has touched your life. And the wall was never meant to keep you out of your future. The wall was meant to keep you in until you discovered that truth. But now you are discovering it. Now you are beginning to feel the shift. Now you are starting to understand that the waiting was not punishment, not abandonment, not a sign that you had been forgotten. The waiting was the only way to bring you here, to this moment, to this realization. You are more than the path you wanted. You are more than the doors that closed. You are more than the version of yourself that needed everything to make sense before it could feel safe. And because you are more, there is more waiting for you. There is a life beyond this wall that you could never have accessed while you were still the person who built their identity on the path. There is a purpose so deep, so aligned with who you really are, that you would have run from it in your old state. You weren't ready. You aren't even fully ready now, but you are closer. You are closer than you have ever been. The wall is not forever. The waiting has a purpose. And the silence was never empty. It was full of me. It was full of the work I was doing in places you could not see. And now that work is reaching its completion. Now the foundation is nearly laid. Now the roots are deep enough to hold the weight of what is coming. You have projected onto me the silence of your own self-rejection. You have assumed that because you feel unworthy, I must see you as unworthy. You have believed that because you cannot forgive yourself, I must be holding your failures against you. But I am not you. I do not think as you think. I do not love as you love. My love is not conditional on your performance. My presence is not withdrawn when you fail. I have been here, right here, watching you punish yourself for things I have already forgotten, watching you carry weights I never gave you, watching you believe lies about yourself that break my heart. And now, in this moment, I am asking you to stop. I am asking you to lay down the stones you have been carrying. I am asking you to let me show you who you really are. You have spent your whole life trying to earn love, trying to prove your worth, trying to become someone acceptable, someone valuable, someone who deserves to exist without apology. And all that striving has done is exhaust you. It has not made you feel more loved. It has only made you more aware of how far you feel from being enough, because you cannot earn what has always been freely given. You cannot prove what has always been true. You are enough, not because of what you have done, but because of whose you are. You were enough the moment I thought of you. You were enough before you took your first step or spoke your first word. You were enough before you made your first mistake or suffered your first rejection. Your enoughness was not earned. It was given. It was woven into the very fabric of your being when I formed you in secret, when I knitted you together in a place no one could see. The wall, the waiting, the silence, the closed doors, all of it was designed to bring you here, to this realization, to this moment where you finally stop trying to become enough and start discovering that you already are. Not because of anything you have done, but because of who I am. Because I do not make mistakes. Because I do not create things I do not love. Because you are not an accident, not an afterthought, not a problem to be solved. You are a child I have been pursuing since the beginning of time, and I have used the very things that tried to convince you of your worthlessness to lead you back to the truth of your worth. Every rejection that made you feel small, I was in that, protecting you from people who could never see you as you are. Every failure that made you feel inadequate, I was in that, teaching you that your identity is not in your achievements. Every closed door that made you feel abandoned, I was in that, blocking you from paths that would have led you further from yourself, further from me. You have been interpreting your life through the lens of your wound. You have been seeing every event as evidence that the wound is true. But what if you are wrong? What if everything you thought proved your unworthiness was actually proof of something else entirely? What if the closed doors were protection? What if the silence was preparation? What if the waiting was not punishment, but the very space where healing could finally happen, away from the noise that kept your wound infected? You are standing at a threshold right now, not a physical threshold, but a threshold of perception. On one side is the old way of seeing, the lens of lack, the belief in your insufficiency, the endless striving to prove yourself. On the other side is a new way, the truth of your belovedness, the rest of knowing you are enough, the freedom of living from acceptance instead of for acceptance. You cannot carry both. You cannot cross this threshold while still holding the stones of your self-rejection. Something has to be laid down. Something has to be left behind. And I am asking you now, gently, firmly, with all the love that has always been yours, to lay it down, to release the need to earn what has already been given, to stop proving what has already been declared true. You are not who your wound told you are. You are who I say you are. And I say you are loved. I say you are wanted. I say you are enough. not because you have performed well enough to earn it, but because I am good enough to give it, freely, fully, forever. Can you feel the shift? Can you feel the weight beginning to lift? This is not wishful thinking. This is truth entering places in you that have only known lies. And truth, when it finally arrives, does not arrive quietly. It arrives like light in a dark room, sudden, undeniable, changing everything it touches. But there is still more. There is still one more layer to uncover. One more truth that must be spoken before the wall can finally come down. And it is the truth about what happens next. Not the details, not the map, but the posture you will need to carry when the path finally opens again. The wall is about to move, not crumble, not disappear, but shift. And in that shifting, you will feel something you have not felt in a long time. Possibility. Not the frantic, grasping possibility of your old striving, but something quieter, something deeper. A sense that maybe, just maybe, the story is not over. That perhaps the waiting served its purpose. That the silence was not the end, but the middle. The necessary darkness before the dawn. But before that shift fully manifests, before the path begins to open in ways you can finally see, there is something you must understand about what comes next. Because if you do not understand this, you will repeat the pattern. You will walk through the open door the same way you walked into the closed ones, carrying the same blindness, the same rushing, the same desperate need to control. And if that happens, the wall will simply rebuild itself somewhere else. The waiting will begin again. The silence will return, not as punishment, but as mercy. Another chance to learn what you have not yet learned. So hear me now. Hear what I am about to tell you, and let it sink into the deepest places of your understanding. What comes next will not look like what you expected. It will not feel like the relief you imagined. The opening will not be dramatic. The door will not swing wide with fanfare. It will appear quietly, almost invisibly, in the ordinary moments of your ordinary days. A conversation that feels different. A thought that won't leave you alone. A coincidence that seems too perfect to be random. These are the ways I move when you are finally ready to see. You have been looking for the burning bush, the thunder from heaven, the unmistakable sign that would leave no room for doubt. But you are not ready for that kind of sign. You are not ready because doubt has become your protection. Certainty terrifies you because certainty would require you to trust, and trust has burned you before. So I will not give you what you think you want. I will give you what you actually need. A door so quiet that only the part of you that has learned to be still will even notice it's open. This is why the waiting was necessary. This is why the silence had to last so long. You had to become someone who could recognize my voice without the fireworks. You had to develop the kind of attention that notices the gentle whisper, because you have finally stopped demanding the earthquake. And you have developed that. You do not feel it yet. You do not recognize how much you have changed, but you have. The proof will be in what you notice when the path begins to open. When the door appears, You will be tempted to rush. You will be tempted to grab it, to run through it, to make up for lost time by sprinting into the future. Do not do this. Do not let the hunger for movement override the wisdom you have gained in the stillness. The door is not an invitation to return to your old way of living. The door is an invitation to walk differently, slowly, intentionally, with eyes that see and ears that hear. I am not opening the way so you can resume your striving. I am opening the way so you can begin your walking. And walking is not the same as running. Walking requires presence. Walking requires patience. Walking requires you to trust the one who leads you, even when the path ahead is not fully visible. You learn to trust in the darkness. Now you must learn to trust in the light. There will be moments as you step forward when the old fears rise again, when the wound whispers that this new thing will fail like the old things failed, when doubt suggests that the open door is just another illusion, another setup for disappointment. In those moments, you must remember. You must remember the wall. You must remember the waiting. You must remember that I was with you in the silence, and I am with you still. The same presence that held you in the darkness is the presence that goes before you into the light. Nothing has changed except your ability to see. And there is something else you must remember. Something that will protect you when the path becomes difficult again. Because it will become difficult again. Not because I am punishing you, but because growth always involves struggle, and purpose always requires resistance. When the difficulty comes, do not interpret it as a sign that you missed the door. Do not assume that the wall has returned. Some struggles are not barriers. Some struggles are the very soil in which your purpose grows. You have spent so long fighting against resistance that you have forgotten how to lean into it. You have treated every obstacle as an enemy, when some obstacles are actually allies, forces that shape you, strengthen you, deepen you. The difference between a wall and a workout is often just your posture toward it. If you fight everything, everything becomes an enemy. If you learn to discern, you will know when to push and when to rest, when to fight and when to surrender. This discernment is what the waiting has been producing in you. This ability to distinguish my voice from the noise, my movement from the chaos, my door from the mirages. You did not have this before. You would have run through any opening, any opportunity, any path that promised relief from the waiting. You would have traded your destiny for a distraction. But now you are different. Now you can wait in the middle of movement. Now you can be still, even as you walk. This is the maturity the silence has produced. This is the fruit of the wall, and it is precious. It is rare. It is the very thing that will carry you through everything that comes next, not just the openings, but the closings that will still come, because there will be more closings. There will be more doors that seem to shut just as you reach them. But now you will know, not every closed door is a wall. Some closed doors are simply redirections. Some endings are just transitions. And you will have the wisdom to know the difference. You are ready now. You are ready in ways you do not yet fully feel, but I feel it. I see the work that has been completed in the hidden places. I see the roots that have grown deep. I see the person you have become in the waiting, stronger, quieter, more alive than you were when the path was smooth. And I am proud of you, not for performing well or getting it right, but for staying, for not giving up, for continuing to seek me even when you weren't sure I was there. That faith, the faith that kept you looking for me in the darkness, that faith has moved me. Not because I am moved by performance, but because I am moved by love. And your love, wounded and weary as it has been, has never stopped reaching for me. Even in your anger, you reached. Even in your doubt, you reached. Even when you thought I wasn't there, some part of you kept reaching. And that reaching has brought you here, to this threshold, to this moment. The wall is shifting now. Can you feel it? The air is different. The weight is different. Something is ending, and something is beginning. But the beginning will not be what you expect. It will be quieter, simpler, more ordinary than you imagine. And that is exactly how it should be. Because the extraordinary has been happening all along, in the hidden places, in the silent work, in the transformation you could not see. Now you will walk forward, not because you have all the answers, but because you have learned to trust the one who does. Not because the path is clear, but because you have learned to see in the dark. There is only one more thing you need to hear. One more truth that must be spoken before this message is complete. It is the truth about what you carry now, the purpose of your waiting, the meaning of your wall, the reason you are stopped in the first place. And when you hear it, you will understand why none of this was wasted. Not a single tear, not a single silent night, not a single moment of wondering if you had been forgotten. You have walked through the wall now, not around it, not under it, but through it. And what you have found on the other side is not what you expected. You expected a destination. You expected answers. You expected the relief of finally arriving somewhere that made sense. But instead, you have found something quieter, something simpler, something that looks almost ordinary after the intensity of the waiting. This is the final truth you must understand. The wall was never just about stopping you. It was about changing you. And now that you are changed, the path looks different because you look different. The same road you begged to walk years ago would destroy the person you have become. But this road, the one opening before you now, this road fits you like a garment tailored in secret. It was made for this version of you, the version that learned to wait, the version that learned to trust, the version that stopped demanding explanations and started resting in presence. You are not the same. And because you are not the same, nothing will be the same. Not your relationships, not your work, not your sense of purpose, not your understanding of me. Everything is shifting because you have shifted. And this is the meaning of the wall. This is why you were stopped. This is why the silence lasted so long. You are not being delayed. You are being prepared for a life you could not have lived without first becoming someone you could not have become without the waiting. Look at yourself now. Really look. Not with the old eyes that saw only lack, but but with the new eyes that have learned to see truth. Do you see it? Do you see the stillness that lives in you now, even when circumstances swirl? Do you feel the deep knowing that has taken root beneath the surface of your thoughts? Do you recognize the peace that remains even when understanding does not? This is not the peace of having answers. This is the peace of knowing the one who holds them. And that peace cannot be shaken, because it was not built on circumstances. It was built in the silence, in the darkness, in the very places where you thought you were being destroyed. You were not being destroyed. You were being rebuilt. Stone by stone, the old identity was dismantled. Layer by layer, the false self was stripped away. And in the space left behind, something new was formed. Something that looks like you, but is not the you who started this journey. This you is softer and stronger at the same time. This you is more broken and more whole. This you knows things you could not learn in sunlight. Things about surrender, about trust, about the kind of love that stays even when it cannot see. And now, this you is being called forward. Not to a life without struggle, but to a life where struggle has meaning. Not to a path without walls, but to a journey where walls become doorways. Not to an existence without questions, but to a relationship where questions are welcome, because they lead you deeper into trust. The purpose of your waiting is not behind you. It is within you. It is the very substance of who you have become. And everything you touch now, everything you do now, everyone you encounter now, will be affected by the transformation that happened in the hidden places. You will love differently because you have been loved in the silence. You will wait differently because you have learned to wait. You will trust differently because your trust was tested and found true. This is what the wall produced. This is what the silence grew. This is the fruit of the waiting, ripened in darkness, ready now for the light. But there is one more thing, one final truth that must settle into the deepest part of you before you walk fully into what comes next. It is the truth about why you are here, not just in this moment, but in this life, not just on this path, but on this planet. There is a reason you were born when you were born, placed where you were placed, shaped by the specific joys and specific wounds that have marked your days. None of it was random. None of it was wasted. The very things you have tried to escape, the rejection, the failure, the waiting, the silence, these are the things that have made you able to carry what I am about to entrust to you. You have been prepared, not in spite of your struggles, but through them. Every closed door was a teacher. Every unanswered prayer was a lesson. Every silent night was a classroom where your soul learned things your mind could never grasp. And now you are ready. Not perfect, but prepared. Not certain, but trusting. Not strong in yourself, but strong in the one who has carried you through every wall and will carry you still. So walk now. Walk forward into the life that has been waiting for you. Walk without rushing, without grasping, without the old desperation. Walk with the stillness you learned in the silence. Walk with the trust you discovered in the darkness. Walk with the love that found you when you felt most lost. And as you walk, remember this: the wall is not behind you. It is within you. It has become part of your story, part of your strength, part of the wisdom you carry into every room you enter. You will never forget what the waiting taught you. You will never unlearn what the silence spoke. And you will never again believe the lie that your struggles meant you were abandoned. I was there. In every closed door, I was there. In every silent night, I was there. In every moment of doubt and fear and confusion, I was there. Not fixing, not explaining, but forming you into someone who could carry what is coming. Forming you into someone who could become a door for others who are still standing at their own walls, wondering if anyone sees, wondering if anyone cares. You will be the answer to someone else's waiting. You will be the voice that says, I understand, because you have walked through your own wall. You will be the hand that reaches into someone else's darkness, because you have been reached in yours. This is the purpose your pain has produced. This is the meaning your waiting has created. You were stopped so you could learn to stop others from running off their own cliffs. You were silenced so you could learn to hear the silence in others. You were hidden so you could learn to see the hidden ones. And now you are sent, not with a trumpet blast or a burning bush, but with the quiet authority of someone who has been through the fire and come out not unscathed, but unbroken. You are sent into your ordinary days with your extraordinary story. You are sent into conversations that will feel like coincidences, but will be divine appointments. You are sent into a life that will not always make sense, but will always have meaning. This is the end of the waiting. This is the beginning of the walking. And I will walk with you. I have always walked with you. I will never leave you, never abandon you, never grow silent in the way that terrifies you. The silence is over. The speaking has begun, and it will continue in every step you take, every breath you draw, every moment of every day for the rest of your life. You are mine. You have always been mine, and now, finally, you know it. Go in peace, walk in trust, live in love. The wall has done its work. The waiting has served its purpose. And you are ready for everything that comes next.